The path away from brambles and was narrow and unmarked, overgrown with thorny brambles and blackened weeds that snagged at Cale's tattered cloak and scratched at his forearms. The mist clung relentlessly to every step, rolling over the uneven ground in thick, coiling waves that blurred the line between path and peril, between what was real and what the shadow wanted him to believe. Behind him, the faint hum of the world tree's silver leaf faded slowly, a distant warmth retreating into the past, leaving only the cold bite of the veil and the weight of his new destiny pressing heavy on his shoulders. There was no retreat, no pause, no going back to the quiet days of gathering herbs and tending hearths. Every footstep forward carried him farther from childhood and deeper into a war he had never asked to lead. By midday, the gray sky dimmed to a murky, bruised twilight, the sun completely hidden behind layers of cursed fog that never lifted, never shifted, never relented. The veil's whispers shifted again, no longer the gentle guidance of elder mist, nor just the venomous doubt of the shadow. Now they were tangled, chaotic, a jumble of distant screams, lost conversations, and hollow promises that slithered into his ears and knocked at the edges of his focus. Cale kept the starlight sword loose in his grip, its constant warmth thrumming the only anchor in the swirling chaos around him. He had learned fast. The shadow did not only attack with claws and fangs. It attacked with distraction, with loneliness, with the quiet ache of longing for a life he could never have again. Mara's small pack hung heavy on his shoulders, filled with dried rations, a single vial of glowing green healing potion, and a frayed silver threaded cloak he had been abandoned in as an infant. He had not traveled a day's journey before he understood how small and unprepared he truly was. He was a village boy, not a warrior. He knew nothing of magic, nothing of war, nothing of the Guardians or Morath's endless armies. He had a sword and a spark and a prophecy, but those things felt thin and fragile against the endless dark of Aerith's broken world. Hours passed in cold, quiet marching until Kale reached a crumbling stone bridge arching over a dead, black river. The water below did not flow. It sat stagnant and still, its surface smooth as polished obsidian, reflecting no light, no mist, no shadow at all. This was the river of forgotten sorrows, a boundary Mara had warned him of in her final hurry towards a river where the veil grew thinnest and the shadow creatures grew boldest, where the line between the mortal realm and the shadow deep blurred beyond repair. No living thing crossed it without paying a price. Cale paused at the bridge's edge, his storm-gray eyes scanning the mist, shrouded arches and the broken stone railings. The bridge was ancient, cracked and weathered, half collapsed in places, its stones stained black with void corruption. The air here was colder than anywhere he had been, the whispers louder, more insistent, screaming in his mind instead of murmuring. He could feel hunger in the mist, a ravenous, ancient hunger that craved his spark, his light, his very soul. He took a single step onto the bridge, and the mist struck. Shade hounds erupted from the fog, massive skeletal beasts writhed in living shadow, their bones blackened and cracked, their jaws lined with sharp, shadowed fangs that dripped with void venom. There were 4 of them, circling fast, their silent footsteps making no sound on the stone, their hollow eye sockets glowing with the same endless black as Morather's darkness. They were faster than the void spawn, more feral, more relentless, bred only to hunt and kill bearers of Elder Mist's light. Cale raised the starlight sword, his heart hammering, his muscles coiled tight. He braced for the fight, ready to rely on the strange ancient instinct that had awakened within him, ready to strike and burn the shadow away. But before the first shade hound could lunge, a flash of silver moonlight cut through the mist. A figure darted from the shadows atop the bridge's broken railing, swift and silent as a ghost, a dagger glinting in their hand, not starlight, but pure, cold moonlight, its plate etched with ancient elven runes that glowed faint and pale. The figure moved with impossible speed, slicing through the nearest shade, Hans shadowed flesh before the beast could react. The creature shattered into mist with a silent wail, vanishing before it could make a sound. Kale froze, sword half raised, stunned and alert all at once. He had expected only enemies on this road, only shadow and death. He had never expected help. The stranger was a girl, roughly his age, with sharp amber eyes and short, wind-tousled auburn hair tucked beneath a tattered black hood. Her clothes were patched and travel-worn, lined with hidden pockets and thin leather armor. Her hands calloused and quick, her posture tense and ready for battle. She moved like someone who had spent her whole life running, fighting, surviving alone in the mist. No village safety, no guardian heritage, only wits and a blade. You gonna stand there staring? She snapped, her voice sharp and clear over the veil's whispers. Or are you gonna help me kill these things before they tear us both apart? Kale did not hesitate. He surged forward, scarlet sword blazing, striking fast and true as the remaining 3 shade hounds lunged. The girl fought beside him, her moonlit dagger dancing through the mist, her strikes precise and deadly, each slice severing shadow, flesh, and burning the beasts away. She moved like she had been fighting these creatures her whole life. No fear, no hesitation, only cold, calculated skill. Light and moon worked together, star and shadow colliding, and one by one the shade hounds dissolved into the fog. When the last beast vanished, the bridge fell silent again. The whispers dimmed, the mist pulled back slightly, as if even the veil itself was wary of the 2 teens standing together, light and moon united against the dark. The girl sheathed her moon dagger, her amber eyes locking onto Kale's starlight sword, then lifting to his storm gray gaze. She studied him, curious and suspicious, weighing him in a single glance. "You're the spark bearer," she said plainly, no surprise, no awe, only quiet certainty. "The one the prophecy talks about. The last heir of Elder Mist." Kale tightened his grip on his sword, cautious but not ungrateful. "Who are you?" The girl leaned against the broken stone railing, crossing her arms, a faint, weary smirk tugging at her lips. "They call me Lyra. Lyra of the moonlit exiles. I'm the only one dumb enough to track you down, and the only one dumb enough to keep you alive long enough to reach the city of fading light. Cale stared at her, realizing in that moment that his journey was no longer solitary. He had a sword, a spark, a destiny, and now he had an ally. One with secrets of her own, one with a blade of moon magic, one who knew far more about the war and the shadow than he ever could. The road ahead was still dark, the enemy still powerful, but for the first time since leaving Bramble's End, Cale was not walking alone.